Hey everyone, Jack Keeper here, and today I'd like to talk about Peux OS. And this is a Arch-based distro that was created by an anonymous guy who, during the pandemic, wanted to kind of come up with his own bin of Arch. It was something that really kind of turned out to be pretty popular, and so a lot of people kind of took to it, and before we knew it, that has gained in popularity. So with Peux OS right now, there's a few different spins available. You have XFCE, LXQt, and the GNOME spin of Peux OS. Just recently, just yesterday, in fact, March 17th, the Kde Stable Spin has become available, and that's the one I'm really curious about. For the short time, the developer had released a KDE spin, but it was missing a component that they wanted to add in. So it was taken back off, and now it is back in. So that's really great. That's something I really want to see. So let's jump out there to the download page and take a look at it. If we jump out to the download page, we can see the different spins that are available. And I think this goes to the FOSS torrents page. So let's jump out there. Okay, here at the FOSS torrents, we have all our editions shown right here, which is the GNOME, KDE, LXQt, and XFCE. And to me, the KDE really looks like the most interesting of the spins. So I'm going to go ahead and download this torrent, load it into my Virt manager, and then let's check it out and see what it's all about. And I'll be right back. Okay, we're now in our virtual machine here. So let's go ahead and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and boot into this. I got my image loaded. So let's go see the live version and see what we got. Wow, that's impressive. I like that. Awesomeness. And I like very cool splash screen. All right, and here we are on the desktop. Excellent. All right, so here we have our welcome center. And so even the live version here looks pretty cool. We have our, I'm going to go ahead and just jump in our system settings real quick and just adjust our display. So let's jump down to display and monitor. (1920 by 1080). Apply. There we go, that's better. Very cool. All right, so now we got ourselves a civilized looking resolution, and let's go ahead and run the installer and see what we got. And as we can see, it's a Calamares installer, so it should be pretty easy peasy and really nice looking right off the bat. Oh, I like this. This is cool. So it's given us some install options right at the beginning. I like it. Very nice. So let's see what they got. Yeah, Libreoffice is probably the one I would choose out of this. I think for this, I'm going to go ahead and just skip the Office part since we don't really need it for a demo. Here's our file manager. Can choose it right off the get-go. I wonder what they're using here by default. PCman FM, the Qt file manager. That's kind of cool. I like that. I guess I'll just go with Dolphin since that's kind of one of my favorites anyways. But it's really neat that you get these choices here that you can kind of add an alternate file manager. Very cool. Okay, and here's our time zone. Keyboard layout. And then I'm going to go ahead and just hit erase disk with no swap. Actually, let's swap the file. That sounds like a winner. And then I'm going to go next. And then add in my stuff here. And then give it a password. And I'm going to go ahead and check use the same password for the administrator account. And then hit next. and it looks like we're ready to go. Nice. Namaste. Very good. And so it's creating a Btrfs partition by default. Okay, so it looks like this is installing pretty fast. I'll go ahead and hit the pause button, and when it's done installing, we'll jump back in and see what this is all about. Okay, it just completed here, so that didn't take too long. And I'm going to go ahead and restart this, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we're restarting now, and really nice boot up screen there. I like that. That's pretty impressive. And a quick boot up as well. So here we are at our login screen. I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And there's that cool splash screen. All right. Excellent. So it looks like we got a successful install. I'm going to go ahead and adjust our resolution here again real quick. And jump down to our display and monitor. 1920 by 1080. Apply. Excellent. Now we can get down to business. So let's see what this is all about. I saw something fly up over on the right hand side over here, but I'm not seeing it now. Maybe that was just, I thought maybe there was a touch point over there, but no biggie. That was probably a notification. All right, and one thing I did notice too during the startup was that, during the install, was that Btrfs is the default file system, because it was mentioning during the install that Timeshift and Butter Manager were installed by default. So that can only mean that Btrfs is the default file system. I like that. That's a plus. And here we got our file manager, Dolphin. And so in the live version, they were using PCMan FM, which was pretty interesting too. Let's take a look at our console, and it's got XFCE terminal. Isn't that interesting? That's pretty cool. Okay. So right off the bat, let's just do an HTOP here. In fact, I'll just close this. And let's kind of see what HTOP says here. 838, 788. So right around the upper 700s to 800 megs in memory usage. Not too shabby. That's a pretty good starting point there with KDE, I would think. Okay. So I guess we could just kind of round that up to 800-ish. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out again, and let's explore a little more. So we got an XFCE terminal. That's really neat. Ooh, WaterFox. I like WaterFox. This is the classic version. That's neat. I haven't used WaterFox in a while, but that was something I always liked, especially back when Firefox, I used to like having a weather app that was down in the lower taskbar of Firefox, and then at some point the weather app stopped working because Firefox totally changed. So it was no longer compatible, but you could use it in WaterFox. And WaterFox had a lot of nice features that I just liked. So that's really refreshing to see that in here. When I'm moving things around, it feels like there's a little bit of latency going on here. I don't know if that's just because I'm in a VM, or if that would also be the case in a hardware install. I think I might, at some point later install this onto a laptop or something, just to kind of get a feel for that. Because I noticed the snappiness isn't quite there in the VM. Okay, and I'm back. And if you notice the screen looks a little bit different, that's because I went ahead and installed Peux OS KDE onto an actual physical machine, because I really don't think I was doing this distro justice by running it in a VM, because it was really, there was a lot of latency, and you also couldn't really see the compositing effects and all that. So I just didn't feel like I was doing it justice. So now I'm on a hardware machine, and we're going to have another go at this. So I'm at my default screen right now. I just logged in and installed OBS on here so I could do the recording. And so now let's just kind of explore. So as you can see, the sidebar here is on the side again. And so now if I open a window, let's see how it reacts. Now that opened up a lot quicker than when we were in the VM. And now I'm dragging it. You can see we have wobbly windows, and it's very smooth. So all that latency is gone. It looks like that it was really just the VM that was causing all that latency. So that's good to know. I'm glad to see that. That puts new life into the review. Great. Okay, so moving on a little bit, let's just bounce around a little. I really like this layout. The way this is laid out, really, even with the sidebar, usually I don't use it over here on the left side. It's kind of gnomey, but I like how the menu is very comfortable down here. It just feels okay, you know, especially the way the design of the KDE menu is, and having these placed up on top is an added bonus for the effect. Now let's see how responsive it is when we move the bar, change the layout settings. I noticed when we were in the VM, it took a little while for the setting to kick in when we changed our layout. So that opened right up. That's really cool. And as you can see right now, we're in our default layout. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this to the bottom again and just kind of see how responsive that move is. So I just click that and right on. Very good. So yeah, very fast. That time there was no lagging of any significance at all. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And that is very cool. I'm glad to see that. And now we have our Windows preview back, so you can see it here. That's nice to see. Excellent. So let's continue on then. And wobbly windows. Nice. So yeah, that was the big question I wanted answered, was about the latency. And originally I was going to just do this at a later date and then just update my description and let you know if the lag was still there. But again, I didn't think that was really going to be a fair review for the distro. So I'm glad I did this. And so if we go through our applications, you know, we have our all applications here, our development with Qtfish, Electron, and some of the basic stuff here, Widget Factory, and graphics. We got our screen capture and so forth. Our WaterFox, that's really cool. Discord, multimedia, we got Kdenlive here. So that's pretty cool. Let's just take a quick look at that. See what version that is, 20.12.3. Okay, I haven't used Kdenlive in a little while because I'm more of a shortcut person myself. I'm more comfortable with it, but you know, Kdenlive's a great editor, so don't have too many complaints about it. I did do a video a while back comparing Kdenlive and Shotcut. So if you're ever curious, just check out that video and you'll see why I picked Shotcut over Kdenlive. But it really was a close contest, that's for sure. And again, Kdenlive opened right up, so we got our snappiness back, and that was part of the reason I opened that up, to see how snappy we continued to be. So I like that. And I see we got our jack plug-in here. That's really nice. That's one thing I really like with the KDE is I can have my mic plugged in and it doesn't disconnect my speakers. And I know like when I'm in XFCE and some of the others, that does happen. So, yeah. But pretty much the standard stuff here, other than the custom configuration, and of course the XFCE terminal as opposed to console. Out of curiosity, I wonder if console's in here. I'm just going to open my KRunner real quick and just type that in. Nope. So yeah, they are actually using the XFCE terminal in place of console. So that's kind of interesting and cool at the same time, because I really like the XFCE terminals, and to me it doesn't matter if I'm using console or not. I kind of wonder what inspired that. Maybe the person that created Peux OS doesn't like console for some reason. Maybe it takes a lot of resources. That might be something I'll have to dig into someday if I'm just curious. But I do like this, and I like the startup screen too when we're booting into this. I think that's really cool. That's a nice touch. I noticed a lot of distros don't really do anything with the startup screen except for maybe a few. And this one with the penguin and the little spinner on the bottom is a really nice touch. Even Manjaro I don't think really has any kind of startup screen either. You just see the traditional terminal like you would see on any vanilla Arch install. And so that is a nice touch. I know most people probably wouldn't care, but to me I think little things like that just kind of mean something. And I noticed that the background's changing a lot, so I'm kind of wondering if Variety is installed on here somewhere, or if it is just set that way in the background settings. I'm not seeing Variety in here anywhere in the manager, so I'm just going to go into configure real quick and just kind of take a look. So here's all our wallpapers and lots of cool stuff. And the wallpaper type is image, so it's not really on the slideshow setting. So I would assume that Variety is probably running in here somewhere. Let's do the KRunner thing again. No, it's not running Variety. Okay, so, yeah, maybe I'm just missing something really obvious, and, you know, one of you people will probably comment and say, well, duh, it's because, and then I'll feel like a moron. But for the moment, I'm a little baffled why it's changing on its own. So there might be some other app in here that's managing the wallpaper and changing it, but whatever it is, I don't mind it. But it would be kind of nice to know how to turn that off, just in case I ever got tired of it. Like, for example, this cool sunset here. What if I wanted that forever, ever, ever? Notice the echo. Whenever you do an echo, it's really important. So, yes, I mean, suppose I just wanted to keep this and never wanted it to change, ever, because I just thought it was the coolest wallpaper on the planet. Then I would probably want it to stay there. I see wallpaperflare.com. Looks like the source of these guys. So, wallpaper, and that didn't make any difference. Okay. Yeah, really, I don't understand how that's changing. And maybe I go to the Peux OS Welcome Center. Oh, check this out. It's got a face recognition setup. That's kind of cool. So, you know, Windows users that really like the face recognition can be reunited with it. They don't have to part with it just because they switched over to Linux. That's cool to know. So if we hit that baby, then we can do a setup here and apparently set up face recognition for logging in. I like that. I'm going to do that sometime because that's cool. I never really gave facial recognition a thought, you know, since I knew it was in the Windows 10, but I never really kind of thought about it for Linux or even, you know, cared actually. But now that I'm seeing it, that's kind of cool. I like it. So yeah, that was something I'm going to play with. But the reason I had the Welcome Center open is I was trying to see a little bit about the wallpaper, like why is it changing? That is the mystery. I don't really know why it's changing. I think I'm just going to kind of leave it for now because I don't want to waste too much time on it for now, but I'll come back to that. I'll see if I can stumble into what's up with that. Here's our package manager with our Libreoffice and blah 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 things that can be installed. And normally I would install Inkscape and GIMP and maybe Firefox, but since I have Waterfox on here, I'm good with that. Chromium probably. And in our preferences we have our Flatpak snap options. Nice. So that's all cool. And AUR is enabled by default. That's great. I'm loving it. And if I was going to keep this on my machine, I would change that build directory because I have a separate partition for my home folder, so I would like actually point that to my home folder, like a temp folder on the home partition, because that's a much bigger partition. And so if I ever got strapped for space, then I wouldn't have to worry about it when I was doing a AUR build of some sort. Great. That's really cool. So yeah, like I was saying, the Waterfox, I like Waterfox. It's pretty cool. So here's Waterfox Classic. I mean, you'd have to put the menu up there. Like, it's been a while since I used this, but yeah, you can use non-E10s Windows. That was like the old Firefox days. And there were some plugins that didn't work in the E10s when it switched over. And so yeah, I mean, if you wanted to kind of go back to that, then Waterfox is a great solution. So this is very cool, and I like this home page too. This is neat. It's pointing into the Etsy Start Pages WoW directory here. So this index page is kind of customized, I guess. And I love the quote. That's so cool. The Linux philosophy is laugh in the face of danger. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Oops, wrong one. Do it yourself. Yes, that's it. That's it. And that's by Mr. Linus Torvalds himself. And yeah, I'm so bad with names. I don't even know if I pronounced his name right. And he's my neighbor. We hang out every day. Okay, I'm kidding. Yeah, so that's this is really cool. Yeah, check out the graphics and those buttons, the animations. I love it. And so we have quick links in here and DuckDuckGo if you want to avoid Google. I'm not sure what Ecosia is. Let's go to quick links. See what that is. Wow, this is gorgeous. This guy is pretty cool. Or this girl, you know, I don't know who this person is, male or female, but whoever this person is, yeah, is impressive. I like this. And quick links to YouTube. Nice. And I can hit back. Wow, I bet this person is a good web designer. I don't know what Ecosia is, so I'll just kind of hit that. Oh, okay, Eco, I get it. Ecosia. Nice, let's plant some trees. You can never have too many trees. In fact, I want to plant a couple this year. Very cool. I like that. All right, score some more points. And then start page, I guess, is don't be tracked online. So it's going to startpage.com. All right, something else I haven't really ever heard of. Maybe I'm oblivious, but yeah, never seen this. Looks like a safe way to search. Nice, okay. Well, I'm gonna use that probably. That's good to know. All right, so that was a lot more than I expected to find just out of WaterFox. Really, I didn't think the browser was going to be so decked out for a startup page. So that kind of went beyond my expectation. So I'm going to minimize that for a minute. When I first booted in here before I started the video, I ran HTOP, and running all by itself, it was running right around 850 megabytes, give or take. So that was a little bit more than when we were in the VM, but not much, and I think that's because I have OBS Studio running at the same time. And I'm back. Wait a minute. What do you mean I'm back? Yeah, I know, that's kind of weird, right? If you notice up in the upper right corner, it says 19 March 2021 because I lost a day. Yes, we moved ahead a day in time. And the reason is because yesterday, after I completed my video on this review and I was in editing, I noticed that I got a whole lot of screen tearing, especially towards the end. You might have caught a little bit of it just a few minutes ago when you were watching this video. And so, yes, I had to come back and start again. Well, not completely over, but at least from about this point. There wasn't really much left to go, but the screen tearing was pretty bad. It was really flickering a lot, and I had to resolve that issue first before I could really let this go. So, in the name of quality, I'm continuing it again, and so let's pick up where we left off. So, the last I remember, before the screen tearing got ridiculous, as we were running HTOP, and right now it's right around 2.1 gigs, and like I probably said yesterday, or a few minutes ago, however you look at it, a lot of that is coming from the OBS Studio running in the background. So, you know, we were around 850 megabytes when it was just clean without OBS. And so let's jump into our system settings real quick and just kind of take a look. And here we have our appearance. And by default, the global theme is set at the breeze. And then here in plasma style, we're using, right now I got it set at the lay-in. Yesterday I had it at Orcus. And I think in my other video before it started tearing all the heck, I switched it over to the lay-in just because I kind of like the little darker effect a little bit better. So I kind of went there, and that was cool. And then we got these other ones too, like Reversal Dark. That's kind of a nice one. That's pretty neat, actually. And then, of course, then we got all this. Nice. So, yeah. Really nice themes right out of the box. I like that. Here's our window decorations. Really great. And I like that Reversal Dark is really cool, actually. I might go with that too. Let me check that out. Gonna hit apply. Yeah, I like it. Okay, yeah, we'll kind of go with that too. And right now I got our icon themes here, and it's at Breeze is what we're running. And by default, this distro had the Papyrus icons enabled, in case you didn't notice earlier. And I don't remember switching it over to Breeze, but I must have. But I kind of like the Tele Purple Dark, so I think I'm going to go with that. Actually, all these Tele Purples are really the same. I didn't really see any difference in any of them, but I'm just going to switch that over. And those are cool, yeah. And then here's our splash screen. There's that Quarks that we had. If you remember right, when I first started out and I was in the VM, the Quarks really lagged a lot. But look how responsive it is now. Is that cool or what? That looks great. So really, yes, this OS, or this distro, I guess is a better way to put it, is really quite responsive once you're on real hardware. And once again, I don't know why it was lagging so much in the VM. I think it just didn't like the VM for whatever reason. So anyway, very cool. Let's just jump back out of here. And then all the rest of our stuff here is pretty much your standard stuff. You know, here we have our desktop effects where we can jump in and do our cool things like wobbly windows and all that good stuff. Our touchscreen settings, screen locking, virtual desktops. And then we have our window management, our startup and shutdown. So here we have all our kind of our basic services. And if we go in here to startup and shutdown, we might even be able to solve the mystery of the changing wallpaper. Because I would suspect it's probably an auto start. So Peux OS Clairvoyance is the login theme there. It's really actually pretty cool. I like that theme. So if we go to auto start, let's see. Here we are, Wallpaper Changer. Okay, mystery solved. So this is the guy that's changing our wallpaper. And like I said, I don't mind it. You know, I kind of like the wallpaper switching around. But if I ever want just a single wallpaper and I don't want to do that anymore, here I can just turn it off. So I would simply remove it, and that would be good. I don't think you can really, let's look at the settings here. Yeah, this is just kind of a property sheet here, so that's not a big deal, but it kind of shows you where it's located. It's in the usual place, pretty much. User local bin. Cool. All right, so that was worth looking at. Then we have our background services and our desktop session. Nice. And right now it's set at start with an empty session by default when logging in. That's actually a pretty good setting. I don't mind it there at all. But if you're the type that wants to have your previous saved session restored, like if you're coming in from, I don't know, you went into sleep mode or hibernation or something, and you want to pick up where you left off, then you might want to go up here. Personally, I like it right here. It's cleaner. So I'm just going to leave it there. And then here's our user settings, and I stuck in a face in there since yesterday, so that way it looks a little prettier. Down here in the corner you can see it. So yeah, that's where you would set your user management. Our regional settings and everything else, yeah, is all pretty typical. Our hardware connections, input devices, you might want to jump in here if you want your num lock on. I already switched that on, but by default it was at leave unchanged. I like having the num lock available. That's usually the first thing I do when I put in a new KDE install, is I'll turn that on, because most of the time that's off by default. I'm not really sure why. You know, numlock's pretty convenient, so you would think that that would just be kind of a default, but I could be wrong. You know, maybe most people don't ever care about it. And then here's where we were before, our laptop screen, compositor. Now, by default, this rendering backend was set at the OpenGL 2.0. I had to switch it to Xrender to get rid of that screen tearing problem with OBS Studio. At the moment, that's really the only way I know how to get rid of that screen tearing in the new version of KDE. It used to be the way you would disable or get rid of that screen tearing is you would go here to tearing prevention and you would switch it to none, but none no longer exists. And then shortly after that, when none disappeared, there was another setting under tearing prevention that you would set it to, but I forgot what it was, sorry. But that's gone now too. So none of those options exist anymore under the tearing prevention. So the tearing prevention when it comes to OBS Studio just plain doesn't work. So going to Xrender is the solution that I have right now. It's kind of my temporary solution. I think you could probably do something with the drivers. I suspect it has something to do with the OpenGL. So at some point I'm probably going to install maybe some proprietary Intel drivers because I'm running an Intel card. And this issue could be something that might be more specific to an Intel chipset for graphics, or an Intel GPU, I guess. So that's kind of what I suspect, and that's where I'm going to go next. But for now, the Xrender works just fine at resolving that issue. At least I can finish the video, right? And then after that, we just have our audio settings, which is really nice. I really like the way KDE handles audio. Really great. I can keep my microphone plugged in and not lose my speakers. In the other desktops, you lose your speakers when you plug in the microphone, at least in my setup. And there is a way around it. You can install, I think it's a pulse jack or a couple things like that, and then you can kind of fix that. But by default, it's not just working typically, whereas in KDE it just works, and I like that. Then we have our power management settings, removable storage, Thunderbolt, and all that other good stuff. So yeah, that pretty much I think will cover it for the settings here. And here we have our system information finally at the end, which is showing Peux OS with the link, and then our Plasma version, which currently is 5.21.3 and using the 5.80 framework with Qt 515, and it's 64-bit on X11. And then as you can see, here's my graphics card right here, the Mesa Intel HD Graphics 530. So I'm thinking that really has something to do with the drivers. I'll update you on that. Whatever I find with this processor, I'll go ahead and update the description and let you know what happened. Either that or I'll just make a separate video like how to fix the screen tearing in KDE in OBS or something. Somebody might find it useful, right? Okay. So there we have it. I think I covered all the bases, and this time without the screen tearing. So I'm sorry about the delay. This video really should have gone out yesterday on the 18th. So we got delayed, and that was kind of frustrating, but you know, goes with the territory, right? So where am I with Peux OS? I think this OS is just too cool. Actually, I should call it a distro, not an OS, but technically it's a distro. And this person that came up with all these scripts, I think has great taste. I really like this, and I like the fact that it's using the KDE bar down here. I don't remember if I said this yesterday, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but I like this, the fact that they're using the KDE bar down here with Latte better than with the polybar, because the polybar I didn't really like that much. I mean, it looked kind of cool with the XFS CE, but you know, it was kind of hard to get used to the menu that was on the polybar. You hit the menu and then you had to actually press enter. Double clicking didn't work for some reason. But the GNOME spin I thought was kind of nice. I really liked the way the GNOME was laid out. The only thing I'm not really sure on the GNOME spin of Peux OS is whether those bars down there are going to break when you hit an update in GNOME. So that could be problematic in the future. That's one thing that kind of stopped me from going the GNOME route and looking at that. But when I found out that they were going to do a KDE spin, that had me going there. I said, wow, I gotta do that one. And so I've been sitting on this one, just kind of waiting for that KDE release to come out. So a few days ago when he or she had posted that the KDE ISO was going to be coming out, I just kept watching and watching until that thing got posted, and then I jumped on it. So here I am. Yes, I love this distro. This is really nice, and I do definitely give it a double thumbs up. And I think I would definitely use this for sure. I would have no problem with it. It doesn't bother me at all that this is a one-man show, so to speak. I know that's an issue with a lot of people, and understandably, but with Arch it's a little bit different because Arch is kind of a different animal, and it wouldn't be hard for someone to take over and run with a one-man show if this person decided someday that, you know what, I don't have time anymore. I'm gonna dedicate myself to other things like going to Tibet and looking at the grass grow or something. So yes, to me that's not a concern at all that it's a one-man show, not in the least. This is a wonderful environment, and I think this person has great taste. I think the way he's got this set up is kind of like how I would probably set it up if I was going to tweak it to my own liking. Very similar. A+. Okay, and with that, I hope this review was helpful. If it was, don't forget to leave that thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.